Hi, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kristen. So for today's video, I'm going to be sharing my August reading wrap up. So I'm excited to talk about these books today. Some of them were good, some of them not so great, but I always love filming wrap ups and sharing all my thoughts on the books that I read. So yeah, let's just get into the video. So the first book that I read this month was I Temporarily Do by Ellie Cahill. I just felt like reading like kind of a cute rom-com type book. I also felt like reading a marriage of convenience trope, and so this book has that. It was also free as an ebook. I don't know if it's still free, but at the time it was, so I was able to get it for free on my Kindle. But basically this book follows Emmy and Beckett, and the two of them are good friends. They live together in college. It was a group of 6 people, 3 guys and 3 girls, so they're like this little friend group that all live together in the same house in college. And they're all about to graduate, and Emmy and Beckett are planning to go to grad school. They both happen to be going to the same school. And so Emmy made plans to move in with this random roommate that she found online. It turns out that that person was scamming her and took all of her money. And on that same day, Beckett's girlfriend slash fiance, I guess, breaks up with him. They were supposed to be getting married, and they were going to be living in the family housing at the school to save money. So basically both of them are out of housing because he doesn't qualify to live there if he's not married, and she was scammed out of her apartment. So eventually they come up with this plan to marry each other. That way they'll be able to live in the family housing together since Beckett already has that apartment set up. So everything just kind of falls into place. They get married and they move in together, and it kind of goes from there. So yeah, so I actually really enjoyed this book. I thought it was really cute. I rated it 4.5 stars just because I did think it was really enjoyable. It was kind of exactly what I wanted. Like I said, I wanted to read a marriage of convenience trope, and then I love Friends to Lovers. And I liked that it was really like fun and lighthearted, because I feel like a lot of the time in marriage of convenience books, like there's kind of this deal going on, and the two people like usually aren't really friends. Like they have like, it's a very strict deal between them, and there's nothing else other than that deal. But in this book, I thought it was cute because yes, they're married, but they also had that foundation of a friendship. And so you get to see a lot of like those moments of them actually like hanging out together and being friends and not just like avoiding each other like I feel like you normally see in marriage of convenience tropes. So I really liked that aspect of the book. I also feel like I would have liked to see a little bit more of like their relationship developing, I guess, because it kind of seemed like they were really good friends. Like it was kind of like I didn't really see them ever falling for each other because it just seemed so like platonic between them, and then all of a sudden they were like falling for each other. And so I feel like I would have just liked to see like a little bit more of them, I don't know, like having more romantic moments, because they were just like really good friends. And like I said, I did really love seeing their friendship, but it also just seemed like too platonic for me at times, where I didn't really like see how they were gonna fall in love. So yeah, I just think this book could have been a little bit longer. Like it's less than 300 pages, I'm pretty sure, and so I feel like it could have been longer and like developed some things a little bit more. But other than that, I mean, I did really love this book. I really enjoyed it, and it was a 4.5 star read for me. So after that, I was really struggling with what to read, so I decided to read Wait With Me by Amy Dawes. And the reason I chose to read this book is because it's a series of 5 books, I'm pretty sure, and I wanted to read the 3rd and the 5th one. Those were the ones that like really interested me, but I don't like reading series out of order, and I don't really like skipping books. So I decided to start with the first book, which is Wait With Me. And then I figured, since I was kind of like in this slump of like I didn't know what to read next, then after I read that book I would have 4 more books to read, so it would just like work out perfectly. The thing is, I read this book and I didn't really love it, so I ended up not reading the other 4 books. But yeah, but basically this book follows, I don't remember the characters' names. I literally like don't remember a lot of the books I read this month. This one was like not really memorable at all. So this book follows Kate and Miles, and Kate is a romance author and Miles is a mechanic. And so Kate went to get her car worked on one day. While she was getting her car worked on, she was waiting in the little like waiting area, and so she starts writing her book, and she finds that she's suddenly like inspired and is able to like actually write for once, because she was like dealing with writer's block for the longest time. And then she starts going back to the tire shop like every day. She just kind of starts sneaking in and just sitting there and working on her book, and eventually she runs into Miles because he works there, and he notices that she keeps showing up, and so he kind of confronts her about it, and I think she explains the situation to him, and they kind of like make this deal of like he'll keep quiet about her being there. And I don't really know what the whole deal was exactly, but that was basically what happened. I don't really remember much else. Like I know they started to become friends. I don't know, there was this attraction between them, and then they kind of like decided that they should just be friends, and basically they start spending time together. They kind of become friends with benefits. I just remember like it started off really good. Like I was actually really invested at first, and I thought it was like, you know, a good story. It was cute. I was enjoying it. And then like at the 40% mark, I think, I got so bored. Like just all of a sudden I was so bored. I did not want to finish it. I almost DNF'd it, which I never DNF books, but I like wanted to. I wanted to quit reading this one, but I decided to push through and continue because I was like, well, maybe it'll get better. The beginning started off good, and it didn't get better. Like, it was just really average after that. Like, it wasn't bad. I didn't like hate it, but it wasn't good either. So I rated this one 3 stars because, you know, I read it, I finished it. It was like an okay book. I was a little bit bored, but I was like okay enough to continue reading it. But like I said, I literally can't remember anything. I don't remember what happens. I don't remember the like big conflict or anything. Actually, okay, wait, no, I do actually, but I won't go into it. Yeah, it was just not a great book, but I do still want to read the 3rd and the 5th one. Next, I read Cross-Checked Hearts by Callie Mel. It's a hockey sports romance, and the trope is brother's best friend. Again, I didn't really love it, but basically it follows Logan and Isla, and they've known each other since they were younger. Logan is her brother's best friend, and so they briefly, like, kind of dated in high school. Not really, like, they basically had a secret relationship in high school. Didn't last super long, but she really liked him. She kind of fell for him. He's 2 years older than her, I think, and so he left for college, and she hasn't really seen him in the last 2 years, and now she's going to college, and she's going to the same college as him and her brother, and basically her brother comes to pick her up and take her to college, and he tells her that she's going to be living with him and Logan because they have an extra bedroom in their apartment. So now she's stuck living in the same apartment as this guy that she used to be in love with and still kind of has feelings for, I guess. And I literally can't remember anything about this book. It was another like really average book. I mean, parts of it were cute, but like overall I thought it was annoying. I didn't really like care for these characters. I didn't really like either of them that much, especially Logan. He just did a lot of things that he annoyed me. I didn't care for him. I don't really have anything else to say about it because I literally can't remember like what I wanted to say about this book or like what even happened. But I did rate it 3 stars. Again, it was just an average book. It wasn't horrible. Like, I didn't hate it, but I didn't really like it either. Next, I read Trouble with the Guy Next Door by Holly Renee. So this book follows Tucker and Kennedy, I'm pretty sure, and they're next door neighbors, and so Kennedy lives with her best friend, and then Tucker just moved in with his best friend, and they meet in the stairwell one day because I think she was carrying her laundry. She dropped like underwear. I think she dropped like Spanx or something like that. I don't know, but she just kind of got embarrassed, and he's like a really good looking guy, and so that's kind of like their initial meeting. And then she doesn't really like him at first. She doesn't like hate him or anything. It's not like enemies to lovers. This one is actually friends to lovers, but she just kind of like weird around him at first, I think because she thought he was like really attractive and she was just like embarrassed, and so her whole like kind of defense mechanism thing is to like kind of have an attitude with him, I guess. She eventually starts to talk to him more. They become friends. They start to hang out, and they become kind of like best friends basically. And so the main character was like curvy in this book, and so that's kind of like a part of the story too, I guess. And you kind of see the way people treat her, especially her family. They're like not very nice to her, and so she kind of only has her best friend, and then eventually she meets Tucker and he becomes her friend too. But overall, this one, I think I rated it 4 stars. I did enjoy it. Even though it wasn't like the most memorable book, I do remember like really enjoying it and thinking it was like a cute, fun book, I guess. The next book I read was Desperately Seeking Roommate by Macaulay Smeltzer. So I've read Macaulay Smeltzer before. She wrote The Confidence of Wildflowers, and I think I read that in April maybe. So this book was very different from that because that book was not really lighthearted at all, and this one is like kind of more of a rom-com. Again, it was like a book that had plus size representation. It was also kind of a sports romance. Not really, like that was barely even part of it, but the male main character is like kind of the star football player of the school. They're both in college. I mean, I guess it kind of added to the story because it made him like this like popular, well-known guy on campus, and that was like part of it, but you don't actually see any of like the sports stuff. But basically this book follows Abel and Lou, and so Lou just got the rent raised in her apartment and she can't afford it anymore, so she puts out an ad like searching for a roommate, and then she gets a response from Abel. They end up meeting up. She accepts to like let him be her roommate, and so they're living together, but she's very attracted to him, and she kind of thinks he wouldn't be attracted to her because he's like the star football player. He has all these girls that like are always wanting him and stuff. And so in this one, I don't even remember. Again, like this one was not really memorable, but like it was cute, but I feel like it could have been better. This one, what I do remember is that she said a lot of cringy things. The stuff she would say and do, like it kind of gave me secondhand embarrassment while I was reading it. I liked the idea of the story, and it was like an okay book overall. So I rated this one 3.5 stars. There was definitely some cute moments in it, but overall I didn't love it. So after that, I decided to start the All In series by Helena Hunting, but I was kind of nervous to start reading it because I had read Pucked by Helena Hunting. I just didn't like that book. It's honestly one of the worst books I've read, but I had been wanting to read the All In series. I was actually planning to read the All In series first, but then I found out that All In is a spin-off of the Pucked series. So I was going to start with the Pucked series, but then I just decided to not finish that series. I considered like reading the next book maybe just to see if it gets better, but I don't really want to waste my time. So I was kind of nervous to read the All In series, but I decided to go ahead and start it anyway. I felt like it could possibly be better, and it definitely was. I actually really enjoyed this series. So the first book is A Lie for a Lie. This book follows Lainey and Rook. And so Rook is a NHL hockey player. He plays for the Chicago team, which is the same team that the players in the Puck series play for, so that's where it's like all connected. So you see a lot of those characters pop up in this one. So Rook plays for this team and he's the captain of the team now. And basically he met this girl named Lainey the year before when this takes place, and they met in Alaska, and they basically spent like all these weeks together and had this like chemistry and this like really good connection between them, and then they lost contact. And so now it's like over a year later and he runs into her again in Chicago. So once he runs into her again, it does like a flashback and you see what happened when they met and everything. And then it comes back to present day, and now they're kind of trying to figure out like where to go from there now that they've reconnected, because they both really haven't moved on from each other in the last year. So yeah, that's kind of like the main premise of that book. So like I said, you kind of get a flashback of what happened the year before, like how they met and all of that, and you get to see all the time that they spent together. And I actually really loved that flashback. I thought it was really cute. Like I really loved their relationship. I loved reading about it, and it was just really sweet to see like how much they both really liked each other and that connection that they had. I felt like it was very natural. I just liked seeing kind of their dynamic. And something that I liked about the main character Lainey is that there was like those moments where she was like kind of, you know, nervous around him and stuff, and so she would like kind of ramble a lot because she would get really nervous around him. And so something that I felt like was good in this book was that there was like this balance of it like not being too over the top with like her awkwardness and her like rambling. Like she was just kind of like, I think it was just like a good balance of her showing that she's nervous around him but not being like super awkward and like embarrassing herself way too much where you would get the secondhand embarrassment. So yeah, that's just something I noticed, and I liked that about this book. And yeah, like I said, I loved their relationship. I thought they were really cute. I thought he was really sweet. Like I loved the way he was around her. So yeah, so I really enjoyed this book. I rated it 4.25 stars. I felt like this was like a good book that was just like cute and kind of lighthearted, I guess, and like didn't have too much drama and conflict going on. A little bit, there was kind of some stuff going on, but like once they move past that, like everything's okay, you know? So yeah, so I just really enjoyed this book. I thought it was super cute. I was definitely excited to continue this series after I finished that one. So after that, obviously I read book 2, which is A Favor for a Favor. So this book follows Stevie and Bishop, and Stevie is Rook's sister. So basically Rook has an apartment and a house. The apartment I think was given to him by the team, and his sister moves to the same city as him, so he decides to let her stay there. And so his sister Stevie ends up living across the hall from Bishop, who is Rook's teammate, but they also don't like each other, Rook and Bishop. And right away Bishop doesn't like Stevie because he assumes that Stevie is Rook's like side woman and that he is cheating on Lainey with Stevie, not knowing that that's actually his sister. So this one is kind of enemies to lovers because Bishop and Stevie don't like each other at first. And so we end up finding out that Stevie moved for a job. She's a physical therapist. And so one day Bishop gets injured at a game, and so he's out for like the next 6 weeks. So one night he's outside of his apartment and Stevie ends up helping him because of his injury and everything. And then she clarifies everything. Basically, like he ends up realizing that that's his teammate's sister and not the woman that he's cheating with. And then obviously he finds out she's a physical therapist and everything, and so they kind of end up exchanging a favor. So she asks him if she can help him with his physical therapy, and in return she'll help him like obviously get on the ice faster. So it kind of goes from there. So I really enjoyed that book too. I actually was reading it at first just on my Kindle, and then I realized that the audiobook was included with Kindle Unlimited, and so for the whole second half of the book I was listening to it while I was reading along. It helped me get through these books a lot faster because I listened to this one on audiobook and I also listened to the third one as an audiobook. But I did enjoy this one. I thought it was cute. I don't love enemies to lovers. Like I think I've talked about this before, but it's not like a favorite trope for me. But I did like how it was done in this book, and I just enjoyed it overall. I thought it was cute. I also liked the whole like, you know, brothers teammate trope and all of that. So this one I also rated it 4.25 stars. It was an enjoyable book. I also liked the narrator. I think it was Jacob Morgan. I always see people talk about him on TikTok and talk about all the books he's done. So this is the first one I've listened to that he did, and I actually really liked his narration. So I enjoyed listening to it. But yeah, like I said, I really did enjoy this book. I was really happy with it. And again, I was excited to continue the series after that, especially because the male main character in the third book, you meet him in this one, and I thought he was really likable in this one, so I was excited for his book. So then obviously after that I read book 3, which is A Secret for a Secret. So this book follows Queenie and Kingston. I hated that, honestly. I hated that her name was Queenie and his last name's Kingston and he goes by that. Everyone calls him King. His first name was Ryan. And so yeah, I just didn't like that their names were Queenie and King. But I got over it, I guess, kind of. I just got past it. I kind of ignored it, but I wasn't really a big fan of that. But anyway, basically the two of them meet one night and they kind of are both having a really rough day and they meet at a bar and he doesn't really drink at all. Like, he's just very much like a rule follower. He's a very like calm, like level-headed person. He doesn't drink ever. He like follows all the rules. He drives like with both hands on the wheel and everything, and like he's just like known for that, for being kind of like good and like being a calm person. And Queenie's kind of the opposite of him. She doesn't really have her life figured out. She's kind of like a little bit more chaotic than him. And so basically they're kind of opposites. But they are sitting next to each other at this bar. They start talking. And so basically they start drinking together. The next morning he wakes up and he realizes that she had been in his apartment and now she's gone. And the only thing she left behind was a note that basically said thank you, and like that was it. Didn't have her number or anything. So then it's been 6 weeks now and he still is like thinking about her, but he obviously hasn't seen her again. And then the new season starts up and so they have a team meeting, and at this meeting he sees Queenie again. She shows up there and she's there with the general manager, and then the manager introduces her as his daughter and she's also his assistant, so she'll be working with him through the season. And then he obviously tells them that she's off limits, so he realizes that he kind of messed up. So that's kind of the main like premise of this book. So I thought this one was also really cute, really enjoyable. This one I did listen to it completely on audiobook. So yeah, so I kind of feel like this was the one that I like got the least invested in, and I think it's because I listened to it rather than like, I mean, I read it at the same time, like I followed along, but I think I just kind of wasn't like as invested. But I did still enjoy it. Like I liked the whole like opposites attract thing between them. I thought they were cute together. I liked the way the conflicts played out. Like it wasn't, I mean, there was drama, it was kind of dramatic, I guess, but like they dealt with it basically like together, and so I really liked that. And I liked these characters together. I liked kind of seeing what they brought out in each other because they just kind of like balanced each other out because they were so different. And I liked seeing the relationships that they had with their family because they kind of have some interesting dynamics with their family members. So yeah, this one was a good book overall. I did enjoy it. I did rate it 4 stars. Again, it was a good continuation of the series. So obviously after that I read A Kiss for a Kiss, which is book 4 in the series, but basically it follows Jake, who is actually Queenie's dad, so he's also the general manager of the hockey team. And I don't want to go too much into who his love interest is because I feel like it's kind of a spoiler, or it could be, I guess. But you do meet her in the 3rd book. But basically he kind of starts having this like casual relationship with this woman, and they live across the country from each other, so they decide to end things. But then she finds out she's pregnant. So this one, it was interesting because there was some drama there involved. And this one kind of like ties all the characters together and you see like the friendships between everyone and all of that. So it was just really interesting to see those dynamics. And personally, I feel like this book could have been more dramatic. Because I kind of like drama in books, and like that's where I get like more invested. And so I feel like with this book I would have loved to see like a little bit more of like conflict, I guess. But at the same time it is nice to read books that aren't like filled with conflict. But yeah, I did end up liking this one. I think things could have happened a little bit differently at times because it just seemed to fall into place like too perfectly. And I feel like realistically it wouldn't happen like that. But I enjoyed it. I liked the characters. I liked seeing all the past couples too, and seeing like all their friendships and everything, and seeing the point they're at now, and just the ending of it was cute. So yeah, this one I rated it 4 stars. It's probably my least favorite of the series. I would just rank them like in the order that I read them in. The first one was my favorite and then this one was my least favorite. But yeah, it was an enjoyable book and this whole series was really good. I am glad that I decided to read it, especially after I didn't really like Pucked, but I really enjoyed it. So I'm glad that I decided to give it a chance and to give this author another chance. So those are all the books that I read in the month of August. But yeah, if you liked this and you're new to my channel, I would love it if you would stick around and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.